Hello everybody, you're welcome to the Irish Mammy channel. Today I'm bringing you on a tour of the vegetable garden in the winter time, just to show all the highs and lows of the winter garden. Mostly lows, I might add. But yeah, let's get to it. So it's quite sparse looking here in the winter time in the vegetable garden, but again, there is hope. Spring is just around the corner, and I just wanted to document the contrast between the winter garden and the spring and summer garden. So this is my blueberries. You can see the remains of my nasturtiums in there as well from last summer, and my poor rose bush, my climbing rose that needs tying up and pruning yet. I haven't pruned that one, so I've just reminded myself of that. And again, I have the same on the other side here off the gate. So quite a few empty beds in the garden at the minute, and that is par for the course. So this is one that I had started. I put down cardboard and topped it with compost, but I need obviously another little bit of compost in there, and I need to just level it out, and I could probably still cover it over with my pecs at this stage, because it's still going to be another 8 to 10 weeks before it's planted out. This is my turnips and beetroot, swede and beetroot, excuse me, I keep doing that. Now some of these are ready for harvesting. There's a nice one in there, a few nice ones. So turnips are a great root vegetable to grow along all winter. Now they not grow terribly big, but you will get enough for a meal or two from a swede at this time of the year. Now I think they went in maybe late August, early September, so it has taken them a while to get big enough for harvesting, but nonetheless it'll be nice to have them now over the next few weeks. Beetroot here, again, these were grown just for baby beets, and I will soon harvest them. There are some small beetroots there, some of them not too small, so I intend to harvest those soon and just make beetroot relish out of them. If I leave them in the ground for much longer, what will happen is they will take off again in spring, but because they've been exposed to such cold temperatures, they will more than likely bolt straight away, which will leave them very woody. And while some people might think it's great to have them grow on and get a little bit more size on them, I don't recommend it, because like I said, if it goes to bolt, it will be all woody inside and not really very nice to eat. So this side, another empty bed. This was celery, parsnips and leeks. I just have a couple of leeks left in here, just the stragglers, and again the same thing with them. I'll soon harvest them because they will bolt as well once they start to get their spring vigour. And again, that bed will get a layer of compost, a layer of cardboard and compost as well, and probably covered as well. So the idea will be that anything that is still growing vegetables will get a bit of a rest now, and topping up of compost and stuff. And you see, I did do some of those over the winter. Some of them have been topped up and done with cardboard already, and they would be the first ones that I plant in this spring. Now this one here is my strawberries. This is going into their 4th year, and I'm going to show you very soon how I'm going to look after these strawberries and sort them out, give them a good winter prune and feed, and you'll see exactly what I'm going to do with those. And this here is the overwintered onions. You've seen me doing that in a video. They've all taken off nicely. I think 100% of them, if I'm not mistaken. So again, not much growth in them. They won't start really showing much size until probably late April, May, till we get a good growth on those. So this is one of our empty beds here, covered with cardboard. I see some of it is actually blown off on me. So again, that has to get topped up with compost as well, and then a bit of Mypex thrown over the top of that as well, just to keep the compost from getting washed out. And that's in that tray is the remainder of the onions that I had, the overwintered onions for planting out. This bed here was my carrots. I have only just 2 or 3 days ago harvested the last of my carrots out of this bed. These were an early variety, so they didn't get terribly big, but nonetheless I got a good harvest out of them. I had enough for my Christmas dinner and a few more dinners after that. I did weed it when I was clearing out the last of the carrots, but you can see I just left them lying there at my backside. And this is the other carrot bed, so I haven't started to harvest these yet. They're still a little bit too small. I may have to go ahead and harvest them anyway, but I just want to give them a chance to get maybe a little bit more growth into their roots in the very early spring, and try and get them harvested before they bolt, because they're really not worth harvesting at the minute, to be perfectly honest. So that was a bit of a failure. Again, not sown early enough is the problem with those. And look, that's a hard balance to get right in the winter garden, because you know, you have your summer garden so full of crops, and it's hard to get the beds emptied out in time to sow the winter crops or plant out your winter crops. So it's always a struggle in the winter garden to get your stuff, but again, it's a good gamble. And obviously it worked on this other side with the early variety, so that's a good tip, to use early varieties, because they have a shorter growing cycle, so they'll produce in a shorter space of time. This other side I used a main crop, which obviously takes longer to grow. So I have noted that for the future, so any more autumn sowings of carrots will definitely be early varieties. And look, early varieties don't grow terribly big either, but at the same time at least you get a harvestable crop at the end. Now this bed was parsley, which I had considered just digging out. It'll certainly be dug out now in the springtime. It didn't weather very well with our cold temperatures this winter. And look, parsley can be grown quite easily, and I think I'm trying to remember, have I actually some sown already? Maybe no, I don't have any sown already, but it won't take very long. It's in the plan. And then over the far side is just some of the oriental leaves. I have taken quite a good few harvests of that already. It's getting a bit tattered looking now at this stage. And there's a few weeds growing up in the middle of it as well, I see, but still some harvest left there, so we can still get a few wee salads out of that yet. And then of course over this side, this bed has been put to sleep for the winter, and on top of it is my winter sowing project. I see some of them are getting battered around the place. Don't think there's any signs of life in anything yet. I'm certainly not expecting any signs of life in any of these yet. If you haven't seen my winter sowing project, I'll link that down below. A very handy way. I actually have parsley sown now, I remembered, because I was trying to think where had I it sown. Yeah, one of these tubs is parsley. Just can't put my finger to it at the minute, but it's there. Now inside the greenhouse is a pitiful looking state at the minute. Kind of embarrassed showing this, but this is the reality. Lots of work to be done here. The greenhouse, you can see, needs cleaning as well. Lots of green algae growing on that. Not sure if it's very clear on that. Obviously the garden is behind that, so it's looking green anyway, but yeah, so it needs a good clean, and that will happen. Again, these are all spring jobs. They'll be done at some stage. It's too cold to be out messing with water at this time of year. So still stuff here lying in trays, ready for dumping out at this stage. Not going to get planted. More winter leaves in here. Haven't harvested these yet, and they're probably ready to start harvesting very soon. I had lots more planted out in here, and it has all been eaten by a combination of slugs and mice, I think, as well. Big problem with mice in the greenhouse this winter. I mean, they're even digging through like this. Now, I'm not actually going to use these anyway because they're probably going to bolt, but these plants that were sitting here, I'm presuming it's mice because they've been digging into the actual cells and pulling out. It's like they're eating the roots of the plant. Very peculiar. And I don't know what other pest it could be other than a mouse, because I mean slugs aren't going to dig out the soil out of the cells. So I had more lettuce and more spinach and chard all growing along here. And you could see the stubs of it the last two. Even the stubs are gone now. There's what's remaining of the chard. Pitiful looking. So I've some other plants sitting about here in pots and trays. This is a peach tree that I bought this year, bare root. Well, let's see. So there's the label of there, Peregrine peach. And it'll just be grown in a pot. Now this is not the pot it will end up. It'll not be its final pot. I just planted it up as soon as it came in, and that was the first pot I had, and it's big enough for it for this year and maybe even next year as well. But the plan is to bring this up to the polytunnel and connect it up to the drip system and everything, and look after it up in the polytunnel. And hopefully I'll get some fruit from that. Of course, peach trees are not something we can keep outside. This is a more hardy one as far as I know, so it should be able to survive the polytunnel. And I don't obviously want to plant a big tree. Well, not that it's terribly big, but I don't want to be planting fruit trees in the beds up there, because we do only rent that polytunnel, so it wouldn't be right to plant actual trees in it. So this is the solution, potted peach tree. We'll see how it goes. I may have to hand pollinate this, not entirely sure. But again, for the first year I'm not going to be letting it go to flower. I'll be pulling the flowers off it so that it can get itself well established, get its root system established. These next pots up here are asparagus crowns. I have tried planting asparagus crowns before without much success. This year I decided to plant them in pots first and plant them out later on, see if that is any advantage. There is a wee asparagus tip here, so that's promising at least that it's growing in the pot. We'll see if it still keeps going when it gets outside. And then these are a few others. So I done an order with Future Forests before Christmas, so that's what's sitting about here. Now I know technically probably these plants could go straight outside, and I spoke of blue arrow junipers in my last garden tour video. They came from Future Forests as well, but I like to overwinter them here in the greenhouse. A lot of them came bare root and I just planted them up. Those asparagus crowns came bare root as well, and it's a cheaper way to buy plants. So I just potted them up and I've left them in the greenhouse. Of course, it's not terribly warm here in the greenhouse. An odd sunny day. Now the sun hasn't shown itself much, but even at that, with the sun out, it might only get to 15-20 degrees maximum, and like it's only for about an hour or two in the day, so I'm not worried about them getting too hot in here or even starting to grow prematurely either. So these bushes here, I'm trying to think what they are now. So they don't look like much at the minute. I think they were red currants, if I'm not mistaken. No, they're not red currants, they are lonicera. That's what they are, honeyberries. So honeyberries, now there's no pictures on any of these, and I'm not sure if I'd be able to find a picture that I could use without rights to it, or whatever you call that. So lonicera, and this variety, and the tag's a bit askew. Now I don't know how you pronounce that. Wojtek, maybe. Sounds like a person's name, that. See if this one's any better. Oh yeah, I bought two different varieties. So I bought two plants of 2 different varieties, so it needed a second variety for pollination. So this one is Xenoglasca. And it's a honeyberry. It's called Lonicera. It's a member of the honeysuckle family, related to the honeysuckle, but obviously has edible berries on it. And I've been told the berries, no tag on that one, I've been told the berries are like blueberries, but as you know, blueberries like blueberries like acidic soil, and they don't grow really well here unless they're grown in containers in ericaceous soil or compost. So not ideal to have to keep them topped up with an acidic fertilizer every year, and acidic or ericaceous compost can actually work out quite expensive. So I was told that these honeyberries are very similar to a blueberry, so that's hopefully I will get blueberry or honeyberries from this, and I'm hoping that the taste will be what I'm expecting. But nonetheless, I'm trying them out. I'm sure they'll be edible, if not for us, edible to the birds at least. And they are going to be planted out shortly as well. So I have a plan for my outside area. First I'm going to show you what else I have here in the greenhouse going, and then I'll bring you outside and show you what the plans are in my garden bed outside. This here is a fig tree, and again I'll have no pictures for you, but maybe there is a picture on the front. So it's Little Miss Figgy. I saw this when I was browsing the Future Forests website, and it sounded interesting to me. So it's a dwarf fig tree that's quite cold tolerant, which is exactly what I wanted, and I'm told it will do well in pots, and I see they're a good patio plant, so that tells me it should be good. So my plan is this will go along with the peach to my to the polytunnel, and again it'll be connected up to drip as well, so that I'll have no looking after to do on it. It'll look after itself. But I like the idea. It's something I don't grow enough of, is fruit. I have vegetables to keep me going most of the year round, but fruit is lacking at this stage. Now of course I get strawberries and raspberries, and I have plenty of fruit trees planted, they're just not producing yet. So I figured I might as well add to the collection with these honeyberries, fig and peach, to get a good variety, and to demonstrate what can actually be grown in this country, even if we're not a warm climate. So what's left here is the remains of my bulb planting. So you can see I left my bulbs out in trays like this. I still haven't the alliums done. I have all my daffodils done, but my tulips have come to a sad end. I had a bag with 100 tulips, and they sat in that tray there. I came in 2 days later after doing the bulb planting video, because I hadn't got to finish it all on that video because of the weather. And what do you know, my 100 bulbs was swiftly down to 14 or 15 bulbs, and I see now there's no bulbs left, only shells of bulbs. So I'm only guessing it's the mice, and there are little holes over you can see one there, and there's a few of them dotted all around the garden beds, or the polytunnel raised bed, but they could get in around the very edge there anyway, because you know there is space between the glass, or the polycarbonate is the word I'm looking for. There's space between the polycarbonate and the timber there as well, so they could get themselves in under that way as well. Definitely not going to be able to keep the mice out, but hopefully they'll soon be vacating anyway because the weather will be nicer. But I think I'm going to have to try and work on something for next year. Like I had to put a couple of mouse traps in, but they weren't very attracted to the mouse traps. Lots more nice things for them. Like they've even eaten, like I had lettuce planted in these here in this tray, and they've eaten the leaves of it. Like one of them varieties was the succulent type, what is it called, Claytonia, and it was ready for planting out, and they actually ate it back. You can see there, there's some leaves there now starting to regrow again. That's Claytonia. that leaf is kind of like a succulent leaf, you know, it's thick. Well, they're only a baby leaf, you can't see that it's actually, but they ate the leaves off it, of all of that lettuce. So it's not something I've experienced before any other winter, and this is probably my 4th year of having the greenhouse here. So that kind of knocked me for 6. Not having my lettuce here in the greenhouse is actually a big miss. So I have more lettuce sown, but it's not going to grow very well this time of year. Even the winter varieties don't grow. Now I am still harvesting small amounts from my containers, you know, my window box, and I must show you them actually when I go out to the other bed. Just the last bit of the greenhouse tour is the onions. So you can see I have one tray here. So this tray had to come out. Which one is this? This is the onions exhibition. It showed absolutely no signs of growth whatsoever, so I just took it out of the out of the greenhouse, out of the propagator, because it wasn't doing anything at all. I did get onion seeds elsewhere, and I have them sown. I didn't get the exhibition onions, but I have them on an order, which I just still haven't put through yet. But again, that's something that want to be planted in the next few days. Sorry, next few weeks. So I have more onion seeds going in there. These were the other tray that I planted, the Red Brunswick. Not great germination in them, but at least there's a few. So I'm going to get more of those seeds as well. And then at the back there are the 2 new varieties that I bought. One is Ailsa Craig, and can I remember what the other one is? I have it in here. If I get the tag. That's the Ailsa Craig, wouldn't you know? And this one, Bedfordshire Champion, is it? It's coming to me now. Let's see. Yeah, Bedfordshire Champion. Both of those varieties are new to me, although I have known someone who's grown the Ailsa Craig. It's quite a popular onion, Ailsa Craig. So I'm confident that it'll do well. But I would still like to get my onions exhibition, just because I know that they do well for me. So that's all I have sown in the propagator at the minute. Itching to get going, but I really have to hold myself back. Like I said, I don't want stuff growing on too early either. And I'm going to bring you outside now and show you my plan for the outdoors bed along my fence. So the sun is starting to go down now, but this, if you remember, this has been kind of going on for a wee while. We had this wall built, I want to say late autumn time it was built. The wee wall that goes down along the path down there. And the plan for this is to fill it in with mushroom compost. It's going to take quite a bit of mushroom compost to fill it up, but now obviously I'll not fill it to the brim either. But I have some nut trees which I actually ordered from Future Forest. Honestly, I think it's 2 years ago, and stuck them in a pot just to keep them alive. And of course hadn't planned, well, I had planned where I was going to put them, but that didn't work out. So they've still been sitting in pots, so they're going to go in here. They're hazelnut trees. I don't think I said that already. And I'm going to plant the honeyberries in between them, and a few, I think I have viburnum to go up at the very top there, just to kind of keep the ornamental side going as well. I'll probably underplant with bulbs as well at some stage if I get round to it. And I also have creeping rosemary, or a prostrate type rosemary that I want to plant in there as well, and it'll kind of fall over the wall just a little bit. So that's the plan for that. I'm hoping to get started on that quite soon. That's one of the projects to be done this year. And again, hopefully it shouldn't take too much. Once I get the compost into it, it'll be just planting up then. And I'm not filling it with a load of plants. So I think I have 3 or 4 nut trees to spread out along it, and then fill the areas in, because those honeyberry bushes actually grow fairly big. I want to say maybe 1 metre by 1 metre, or 1.5 metres by 1.5 metres. So they'll get quite bushy, and they'll fill in the spaces then in between the hazelnut trees. So it'll not look much when it's done first, but no flower bed does, or garden bed does. But eventually it'll fill in and it'll look good. Just a quick update on the lettuce. I had to bring one of them around the back here. So this is and I have taken several harvests of this. This is the one grown in the soil bag. You can see it there. Now it has got a little bit sparse on the top because I sent somebody else out to harvest it and they brought roots and all. But still plenty of it there. Nice little baby leaf salad. I just moved around the back to make room for my potted bulbs around the front. And I'll just show you now very quickly. Actually, this is another tip that I learned as well, is to keep a weight on the top of it if you have windy weather. You can see my container got cracked because the wind blew around the place, so that hadn't helped it either. But now I keep that pot on it just to keep it weighted down so it doesn't blow away. I'm going to bring you around and show you the window box now as well with the lettuce. So this is the window box lettuce here. You can see it has grown up quite well. I didn't harvest this until Christmas, so it's probably looking maybe slightly better than the other one. But I have been harvesting off it now since Christmas, so that's about 4 weeks, taking just little bits now, no big major harvests. But it's in the process of growing back now, and I'll soon be ready to take another harvest of it in another few days. So just to show you that it does actually work. So the last leg of the vegetable garden tour, I nearly forgot this area out here. This is the garlic that we planted back in October, I think. So just an update on it, a very quick update to show you that it's all coming up fairly well. I don't know if I said it on the video, but I had came out to this garlic all pulled up, well not all, but some of it pulled up by birds. So I ended up having to net it. So I was afraid that it mightn't come back terribly well, but as you can see, it's thriving. So you know, because when the birds had pulled it up, it had started to root out, so I was afraid I was going to damage the roots when I was sticking it back in, but no, it doesn't do it any harm at all. So just so you know for the future. But definitely invest in a net. So I did net it after that, and the onions as well when I planted them, just to prevent the birds from pulling them out. So definitely a good idea having a net or something, piece of fabric or anything, even fleece, anything at all, just to put over them until they get established a wee bit, to stop the birds from pulling them out of the ground. Not a problem now with the birds because it has got established, so that's why the net has been off them, and is off them a long time now. I'd say only the first maybe 2 or 3 weeks is all I needed the net on, either the garlic or the onions. So the onions here right beside it, they don't look as well established. They were slightly later going in as well. Now there may be a few more casualties in the onions. Because they were younger, they probably got nipped by the frost easier, but I still think they'll come all right. The bulb will send up another leaf if it has died off. So I'm quite confident that I will still get plenty of onions out of this. And you've seen the ones in the higher raised beds beside the greenhouse are thriving. Those were the ones grown from seed as far as I remember, whereas these were sets. So look, it's good to have this comparison. Maybe there's actually a difference. Maybe the ones sown from seed are hardier, but we'll not know that until March or April, when these start to really take off and grow. Now this bed is one, well, first of all, it needs weeding. I think that's a given in every garden bed and flower bed and raised bed in the place. But we can see here, this is the rhubarb bed, and here we have the rhubarb coming out already. So this is obviously an early variety, most likely timperly early. I have maybe 3 or 4 different varieties of rhubarb crowns in this bed, and I can't remember, I think there's Victoria, I can't remember all the rest of the names, but I definitely have timperly early because it's actually an older crown than all the rest. And so that's it there. That's just to show you that the rhubarb will be soon coming, and you see how bright and red it is when it comes out of the ground first. And of course many people force rhubarb as well around this time of the year, and they'll probably be actually harvesting it at this stage already, or very soon. Then the last bed here, well, the last bed with anything in it, is the strawberries. Again, that needs a good tidy up, and I'll be bringing you along and showing you what I'm doing for that. Quite drastic work to be done on the strawberries, but it is worth it. I done it last year and was afraid doing it, but definitely the results made it worth it. So I will be bringing you along very soon and showing you what I do with the strawberries to get them ready for their next growing season. So I'm starting to lose light now, so I'll come back into the greenhouse just to finish off. So that concludes the tour of the vegetable garden. So not a whole pile happening in the winter. I didn't bring you to the polytunnel this time. I can say I haven't harvested one thing from the polytunnel yet, but stuff is growing. The cold snap there before Christmas kind of was the middle of December. Well, we had a couple of cold snaps, but one quite cold one there before Christmas. It really set everything back. I was kind of hoping to be harvesting some stuff before Christmas, but it just didn't happen. And now we're at the end of January and I still don't have anything to harvest. I think it's safe to say though, in the next 3 or 4 weeks, in the next month, I should have a harvest of something. And even if it's some of it just keeps on growing and waits till later on to produce, that's okay, because I don't intend to be planting much out apart from early potatoes. I don't intend to be planting much in it until probably, I'd say, the end of March, maybe even the middle of April before I'm planting. At least my warm weather crops anyway won't be going in till then. So whatever is in it can keep growing and producing. I will still get some harvest from the plants. Some of them may bolt because they went through that cold snap, but I still think most of them will survive. They just take so much longer to grow, and like I said, it's trial and error figuring out when to sow and plant for winter. And like the polytunnel was full of tomatoes at the end of the autumn last year, and I harvested tomatoes up until October. So it's hard to get it right. I wanted to get enough tomatoes harvested for preserving. So you know, it's a double-edged sword. Either lose tomatoes and gain your winter crops, or take a hit in your winter crops and get lots of tomatoes. That's the decisions we have to make. But like I said, I will still get a harvest from them, just not yet. So that's it for the tour. I hope you enjoyed seeing what the reality of a winter vegetable garden looks like. Definitely there's improvements to be made, but you know, that all depends on the time and commitment you have available for it. The way I look at winter gardening is, if you get anything to harvest, it's a bonus. It's not the type of weather that you really want to be outside very much, so unless you have lots of planning in place at the end of autumn, it's not likely that you'll get out very much over the winter. And like I said, any little harvest at all is bonus. Next year I'll try again. That's the beauty of gardening. The seasons come round every year and we get to try it and do it all over again, and hopefully improve on it as the years go on. Winter gardening wasn't something I've done very much of. However, because I have these raised beds and because I pay rent for my polytunnel, I hoped to try and make it worthwhile. So next year we'll have a different plan. Not sure what the plan will be yet, but we'll hopefully do a better job next year. So thanks for hanging out and watching the video. I hope you enjoyed the tour of the garden. Starting to lose a lot of light now. I was lucky got it in. Freezing cold here today, but it was nice to get a bit of sunshine. What seldom is wonderful in the winter time, the sun doesn't show its face too often, and what's even rarer is to have the sun shining and no rain. So thanks for coming along with me. If you enjoyed the video, press the thumbs up button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.